I'm Brendan Dunn. I was a pro se defendant in the Olympia 22 trial. I was arrested at the Port of Olympia protests last year in May of 2006. I wanted to talk a little bit about this character. We now know, or we refer to him as Bob Edmond. Mysteriously appeared on our listserv, our private listserv that we had with the Rise Up group out of Seattle. Only 22 at Rise Up. We had a private listserv, so all the defense attorneys, pro ses, and defendants could communicate each other, also with the paralegals, and kind of do a lot of organizing in preparation for our trial. The other day, the last day of our trial, when the mistrial was declared actually by the prosecution, on behalf of the prosecution, granted by the court, they presented to the court a document. They said it was grounds for a mistrial. The judge granted it. This document was from our private listserv, the Only 22 listserv. None of us had any idea how they acquired this information. My friend Jake, who is also a co-defendant pro se, he is the administrator of the listserv, and basically everyone has to be screened through Jake, and he gives the approval for everyone who's on the listserv. On this email, this document that the prosecution presented to the court was information about all the prospective jurors, the actual jurors, about 60 of them, and that information is actually supposed to be, classified private information. It can't be disseminated to the public whatsoever. The prosecution was arguing they just found it on the internet. It was just in some public archives of some sort, and on those grounds, that was basis for mistrial. We argued otherwise, and we kept on asking them how they found this information. They brought in two detectives to the courtroom that were assigned to investigate this a couple days ago, I guess the day before the mistrial was declared. And one of these detectives was speaking about his investigative work, and he wouldn't give his name. I approached him a few times, asked for his name. He wouldn't give me his name or card. Jake, the administrator of the listserv, who was present, he printed out all the names that were on the listserv and found a new name. It was, I believe, edmund.bob@gmail.com that mysteriously showed up on our listserv within the past 24 hours. He didn't give it the green light to be on the listserv. Nobody recognized the email. I'd never seen it before. I personally have reason to believe that police agents were involved, possibly with the Department of Homeland Security. One of my co-defendants and her friend recognized this detective in the courtroom. They saw him at the Port of Olympia protest last year, and he said that he was an agent with the Department of Homeland Security. This agent's name, Edmund Bob, was on the Only 22 listserv, and was also on the Olympia Port Militarization Resistance listserv last night. Mysteriously appeared on that one as well. We don't know what happened, who was involved with this, but we're still trying to find out. So, personally, I think that the prosecution was really afraid that we were going to win the case. When we found out from the jurors afterwards, they insinuated that it would have been a not guilty verdict, which would have been a complete blow, devastating blow to the prosecution, and also to everyone who's working against the port militarization resistance movement. I mean, the next actions are going to be bigger, in the next ports. And there's actions that are going on in Oakland soon in solidarity with what just went on in Tacoma. So they're afraid, and I think that's why Department of Homeland Security is getting involved with this.
Where can people go to get some information to the activities of the PMRs, which are the Port Militarization Resistance groups?
Port Militarization Resistance, I know omjp.org has a lot of information about that. There's also a Tacoma Port Militarization Resistance that just formed. There's usually a lot of posts on all the indie medias in the Northwest, Olympia, Seattle, Portland. And there's also a listserv, OLIPMR, at lists.riseup.net. You have to be screened to join that, and you can join that listserv to find out what's going on.
And you could do a search on YouTube, right?
And you could do a search on YouTube. You'll find a lot of videos about Port of Olympia and Port of Tacoma protests.